Today's question is not whether the world is suddenly entering one giant volcanic emergency. It isn't. The real question is more precise. Which volcanoes are actually showing verified signs of magma movement, ground swelling, unusual gas release, or sustained unrest right now, according to the agencies that monitor them every day? Based on official updates available up to May 8, 2026, the clearest short-term eruption watch is in Iceland's Svartsengi Sundhnúkur system. The biggest urban volcano story in Europe remains Campi Flegrei near Naples, and across the Pacific, Kīlauea, Mayon and Kanlaon are all demanding close attention for different reasons. Before we jump in, a quick translation of the jargon. If scientists say a volcano is showing inflation, that means the ground is swelling because pressure is building underground. If they mention INSAR, that is satellite radar used to measure tiny changes in the shape of the ground. SO2, or sulfur dioxide, is a volcanic gas that can rise when magma or very hot fluids are involved. And when observatories talk about seismicity, they simply mean earthquake activity. None of those signs by themselves guarantees an eruption, but together they tell us how a volcano's plumbing system is behaving. Let's start in the Naples area, because that is where public anxiety is highest. The evidence says the main unrest center is Campi Flegrei, not Vesuvius and not Ischia. INGV's April 2026 summary reports 315 earthquakes at Campi Flegrei, continued uplift, and high carbon dioxide flux. Ground rise is still ongoing, but the pace has slowed compared with late 2025. Italy's civil protection is very explicit on the key point. The current crisis is linked to deep-seated magma and pressurized fluids, but there is still no proof that magma is rising toward the surface in a way that would justify raising the volcanic alert above yellow. That matters, because it means the real near-term hazards are still earthquakes, ground deformation, and gas, not a verified imminent eruption. Vesuvius, meanwhile, remains at green, with low seismicity and no deformation attributable to magma. Ischia also remains green and is still dominated by subsidence, not inflation. The sharpest short-term case is in southwest Iceland. The Icelandic Meteorological Office says magma accumulation beneath Svartsengi has now exceeded 25 million cubic meters since the last eruption in July 2025. Uplift continues, and satellite radar shows the deformation is focused at Svartsengi. The agency says the most likely scenario is that a dike, basically a sheet-like magma intrusion, propagates from the reservoir toward the Sundhnúkur crater row and triggers another eruption. The uncertainty is timing, not whether the system is still recharging. And the warning time could be short, from about 20 minutes to a few hours. That is why Iceland is the clearest place on this list to describe as an active eruption watch rather than just long-term unrest. Now to Kīlauea in Hawaii. This is a different style of unrest. Kīlauea is already in an episodic summit eruption sequence. The U.S. Geological Survey's May 7th update says episode 46 happened on May 5th, then paused. During that episode, the summit deflated, and once it stopped, the summit began inflating again almost immediately. That inflation rebound is why HVO says another lava fountaining episode is likely, even though they do not yet have a detailed forecast window. The important nuance here is that there are no significant changes in the East Rift Zone or Southwest Rift Zone right now. So the likely near-term story is more summit activity, not a confirmed migration of the eruption elsewhere. In the Philippines, both Mayon and Kanlaon deserve attention, but for different reasons. Mayon is at alert level 3, which 5ALS classifies as intensified or magmatic unrest. The May 7th bulletin reported volcanic earthquakes, tremor, high sulfur dioxide output, and mixed deformation signals while the eruption sequence continues. That combination says magma is still actively involved. Kanlaon is one notch lower at alert level 2, but it is not quiet. On May 7th, Five Oaks reported 13 volcanic earthquakes, sulfur dioxide output above 4,000 tons per day, and a moderate plume. Just as important, Five Oaks has linked the long-running inflation of the edifice since 2022 to magma intrusion at depth. In plain English, Kanlaon still looks like a system with magma in the pipeline, even if the exact timing of the next significant escalation is not knowable in advance. A quick global roundup. Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia remains unstable, with slightly stronger rock-fracturing seismicity, continued gas release, and low but persistent thermal anomalies. It is still on yellow alert. Shishaldin in Alaska remains at advisory, with elevated seismic and infrasound activity, sulfur dioxide in satellite data, and visible steaming. And Wakari, also known as White Island in New Zealand, has quieted since a small ash episode in March, but GeoNet still keeps it at volcanic alert level 2 because short bursts can recur with little warning. These are not all in the same state, but they share one key point. Elevated unrest is real, and none of them should be treated as background noise. One more important context note. Santorini belongs in any serious conversation about recent volcanic unrest, even if it is not in my top current operational watch list. A 2025 geodetic paper in Geophysical Journal International concluded that Santorini had been inflating since August 2024 and modeled a magma source beneath the caldera. That does not automatically turn it into the next likely eruption on Earth, but it is a reminder that unrest can build quietly, be partly tectonic and partly magmatic, and still matter long before an eruption becomes likely on a short timeline. So what should viewers take away? First, trust official observatories, not viral countdowns. Second, the most useful clues are not a single earthquake or a dramatic gas plume, but the combination of seismicity, deformation, gas, and direct observations. Third, safety guidance is local. In Campi Flegrei, the immediate issue is earthquake readiness and avoiding low-lying enclosed spaces where volcanic gases can collect. In Iceland, it is obeying hazard map closures and understanding that the next intrusion could start fast. In the Philippines, it means respecting permanent danger zones around Mayon and Kanlaon and keeping aircraft away from summit areas. At Wakari and Shishaldin, the message is simpler. Activity can shift quickly, and exclusion zones exist for a reason. The accurate global picture is serious but not sensational. A handful of volcanoes are clearly recharging or already erupting. A second group is restless enough that communities and aviation authorities need to stay alert. And at places like Campi Flegrei, the most honest answer is still the hardest one to hear. The system is unquestionably more active than normal, but science cannot yet turn that into a reliable countdown. That uncertainty is not ignorance, it is the reality of how volcanoes work.